Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me tonight on this Monday night, September 24th. We've got a lot to talk about tonight, folks. A lot has been happening with regard to President Donald Trump's Make America Great Again agenda, a lot with the Justice Department, a lot happening tomorrow with the United Nations, and we're going to talk all about those things tonight within the next half hour. First, I want to give a shout out to the Steinhardt High School in Hamilton, New Jersey. I had the opportunity to visit students there today. I was participating in a class called Government and Law, and I was actually invited to talk about President Trump's agenda and his accomplishments and his successes, right in a high school here in New Jersey. The teacher, Tracy Quinn is her name. I got to tell you, she is well respected in that school by every student that I at least met, not only in the classrooms, but walking down the hallway. The Steinhardt School in Hamilton, New Jersey, it's a high school. I got to tell you something, they're doing something right there. That school was immaculate. The students were well behaved. Great, great high school. And it was a pleasure to be able to speak to high school students, to young people about the president, his agenda, and some of the great things about our country. Now, to begin with, those of you who are new, what is the America Winning Coalition? We're an organization committed and dedicated to advance the Make America Great Again agenda of President Donald Trump. We are also committed to helping GOP organizations, Republican organizations throughout the entire United States in getting their candidates elected to office. Because a GOP candidate elected to Congress, elected to the Senate, elected to any level of government is good for this country. Which brings me to welcoming tonight our new chairwoman of the state of California. Her name is, got it right here. Got it right here, folks. Well, I had it right here. Her name is Dianne. All right, Dianne, I'll tell you what, I blew that one, folks. I have been so very busy. But I want to welcome Dianne aboard. She is our new chairwoman. Deanna Lorraine, there we go. Deanna Lorraine as our new America Winning Coalition California chairwoman. Now I could hear my staff now saying, how could you forget welcoming our new chairwoman? Well, I blew it. What can I tell you? But I've had the opportunity to speak to my staff about her, and I'm going to be speaking with her. And she comes with the highest credentials of anyone, at least that we have been able to capture in the state of California with regard to supporting the president and the GOP. So now we have offices in New Jersey, in New York, in North Carolina, in Georgia, California, and Florida. And we are spreading out across this country with that mission to ensure that the president's Make America Great Again agenda is spread out across this land, and that the GOP organizations across the country are going to get the help they need when they need it to get Republicans elected to office. Tomorrow morning, I'll be on Fox Business Network at 9 a.m. Eastern Time with Varney and Company. We're scheduled to talk about the president's speech at the United Nations later in the day. I don't know if that's going to change as a result of breaking news, but if it does, you could be sure that we're going to be talking about that. All right, folks, let's get right to it. Let's get right to the major things that are happening at this hour, in particularly Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Now, folks, I've got to tell you, in all my years in law enforcement, I have never seen such a debacle, such a miscarriage of justice than what I am witnessing now with regard to the confirmation of Judge Kavanaugh. Now, let me put it in as simple terms as I can. The senator from Hawaii, Senator Harano, I believe, Harano, I know I'm probably mispronouncing it, but she's a Democrat senator, actually got on television today and said that we should look at Judge Kavanaugh as being presumed guilty and not innocent. She actually said that. So we have to look at him as being presumed as someone who is guilty, and then he has to prove he's innocent. Well, it doesn't work that way in this country. You're presumed innocent until someone proves you to be guilty. Now, here's my assessment, my personal assessment after watching and viewing and reading and trying to pull all this together with regard to those who have accused the judge of sexual misconduct. Number one, let's go to accuser number one. I believe her name is Ward, Dr. Ford, accuser number one. This accuser states that 38 or 39 years ago, the judge was at a party at his high school, I believe it was, and was drinking and had sexually assaulted her. 39 years ago. My question is, as a law enforcement officer, or perhaps even as a person with common sense, why wasn't this reported to the police? Why did the accuser not report this sexual assault to the police? Well, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she was frightened. Maybe in those days, back in the 70s, it was very frightening for a young woman to report something like that to the police because her parents may find out. Any number of reasons that you could certainly think about why a victim of a sexual assault would not report it. Now, I've got to tell you, in my years in law enforcement, when I investigated sexual assault cases, they were usually either immediately reported by the victims or within 7 or 8 days. I've never run into a situation where the victim of a sexual assault reports it 39 years later. Now, so we give her the benefit of the doubt. For some reason, she just wasn't moved to report the assault. So now, 39 years later, while Judge Brett Kavanaugh is being confirmed for the United States Supreme Court, this accuser decides not to go to the police, but to the senator of the Democrat Party leading the charge to derail his nomination, and that's Dianne Feinstein. Who does that? Who goes to someone other than law enforcement to report a sexual assault? And so Senator Dianne Feinstein comes along and goes to the newspapers. Still doesn't go to the police. So now we have a story of one woman who accuses a very reputable, fine man with a fine family of sexual assault without one shred of evidence. And there's the kicker, folks, without one shred of evidence. This accuser has stated that there are women who knew about this, and apparently some of the women that she named said, hey, look, we don't know anything about this. We have no idea that any such thing took place. Then there were 65 women who came forward and spoke up about the character of the judge. And then you have a situation where one of the judges, I think college or high school friends said, look, this is way out of character for Brett Kavanaugh. This never happened. I don't remember any parties. I don't remember him ever being involved in anything like that. So you have overwhelming evidence against the accuser, but the accuser still says this happened. The accuser, Dr. Ford, as I believe has been reported, does not know the location of where this sexual assault took place. She knows the town, I understand, or the city or wherever, but she does not know the exact location. She does not remember exactly what occurred other than Kavanaugh, according to her, sexually assaulted her. Where are the witnesses? Where are the police reports? Where are the people, anyone out there who she must have told that this egregious incident occurred? Hey, look, you're a kid, all right? You're 17, 18 years old. Things happen to you that you're going to do what? You're going to talk about it. You're going to tell a girlfriend, right? You're going to tell somebody. The judge, if he is the type of person she said he is, like any guy's going to go out and brag about, even if it was the worst thing he did, he's going to say, oh, look what I did. None of that has absolutely surfaced. Not one shred of evidence. And you have a senator now from Hawaii, right, who says he's guilty. He's guilty no matter what. Unbelievable. When in the United States is a person presumed guilty and not innocent? It never happens, except if it's Cory Booker. Cory Spartacus Booker from the state of New Jersey. There's a report out there. I still don't know if it's true or not. I haven't had time to look into it. Maybe you do, folks who are viewing. Apparently, Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey bragged in a book about how he did things with women. Acts that he bragged about regarding what you would look at as a misbehavior or misconduct with regard to women. Why hasn't there been a hue and cry from our Republican Party about Senator Spartacus Cory Booker? Why has Dianne Feinstein not brought that issue up on the floor of the Senate if she is so protective of women's rights? Why doesn't the senator from Hawaii who says that Brett Kavanaugh is presumed guilty, why doesn't she apply that same standard to Senator Cory Spartacus Booker of the state of New Jersey? A lot of whys, folks, but there are no answers except one, and I'll get to that in a minute. So now all of a sudden, we have another woman who surfaces and says, well, he exposed himself to me way back 35, 36 years ago. So here's a woman who now comes forward, and other than Ford, that is somebody else, who says that Brett Kavanaugh exposed himself to her. No witnesses, no one to corroborate that testimony. In fact, folks, I'm going to tell you something. I've got in my hands right now some of the answers to these accusers and those like Schumer, Pelosi, Feinstein, and that wonderful everybody's guilty senator from Hawaii. Maggie Haberman, you know, she's the New York Times White House correspondent who really hates Trump and is a real liberal. Here's what she said. She said that the Democrats have mishandled the allegations against Kavanaugh and is causing doubt in their validity. Could you imagine? That's from Maggie Haberman. Let's talk about Joe Scarborough. We know Joe, right? Of Morning Joe of MSNBC. He says it's very cynical. Judiciary Democrats released this information against Dr. Ford's will, demanded she testify, then attack Republicans for scheduling a hearing. That's Joe Scarborough. Let's go on to Mika, his girlfriend, Mika Brzezinski. I don't know if she's his wife yet or not, but something going on there. But anyway, Mika Brzezinski of Morning Joe. Democrats keep moving the goalposts and Republicans are right to demand a vote if Dr. Ford will not testify. Look at David Gergen, CNN, folks, CNN. Republicans are correct when saying that the allegation should have been revealed earlier. And Sean Sullivan, Washington Post congressional reporter, Feinstein under scrutiny for handling of allegations against Kavanaugh. Why didn't she bring it up? Folks, I've got to tell you, the president said it today. He summed it up. And I just wish that more Republicans, especially those in Congress, had the guts of the president of the United States, but telling it like it is. This is a true political witch hunt. I don't believe, this is my personal opinion, just based on my experience in law enforcement, and I believe that what I'm going to share with you right now is going to be borne out this next week or two. I don't believe it ever occurred. I don't believe that Judge Brett Kavanaugh ever assaulted any of these two women. I don't believe it. I don't believe it, folks, because, you know, your gut, your instinct, the totality of circumstances that led us up to this point simply does not add up. Politicians shaking in their pants to utter what I just uttered. They're shaking. They're nervous. We can't do that. We'll make the accusers look bad. You know, you don't do that today to an accuser. Well, you know what, folks? If you believe in your heart that someone is falsely, maliciously trying to tear a man and his family apart, you have a duty and obligation to stand up and to tell it like it is. Look, I could be wrong. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I don't think I'm wrong. I really do not think I'm wrong. And there are probably millions of Americans that don't think they're wrong. But this is the problem with politicians. They know in their heart that something is not right. But how dare they say that? How dare they say that someone who accuses a woman who accuses a man of wrongdoing is wrong? Now, I've got to tell you, if there was a police report, if there were circumstances over a period of time where these women who are making these accusations were ignored, man, I'll be standing square shoulder with them because we have a responsibility to investigate these things. But now, the timing, folks, the timing. We've got midterm elections coming up. And this is all about the Supreme Court conservative majority. They want to break the backs of the conservative majority on the Supreme Court. Why hasn't the mainstream media really taken these people to task? Where one of them, I believe it could be Dr. Ford, could be wrong. So you know what? Check these things out. But I've read a report where one of these women, and maybe it was Dr. Ford, whose mother's house was going into foreclosure, and it was Judge Kavanaugh's mother who presided over that case and apparently ruled in favor of the bank. I believe that's what the story was that was reported. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, now there's a motive. Maybe this woman's so angry at this judge that she would go so far as to do what she's doing. But she's going to be placed under oath on Thursday. And I hope she's cross-examined to the point that we will get finally to the truth. I believe the truth will be that these things never occurred. And if they did, it wasn't Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Could have happened. I don't believe it did, but it could have. But I don't believe it was the judge. Not one shred of evidence exists that it was him who committed this act. And yet, Senator Cory Spartacus Booker of New Jersey writes about what he did in his college days, brags about it. Not a word. Not a word. And what about this, folks? All of the liberals out there, the Dianne Feinsteins and the Bookers and the senator from Hawaii, why haven't we heard them stand up and say, you know what? You know what we need to do for the American people? We need to give them the list of congressmen and senators who committed sexual acts of sexual misconduct while they were in office in Congress. Remember that, folks? Remember we, the taxpayers, paid for their defenses or paid people off so that the matter would go away? We as the American people, we deserve that list. I want to know. I want to know who in the United States Congress, especially those accusing the judge of all sorts of nonsensical things, I want to know who they are. Don't you think we have a right to know who in Congress committed sexual assaults, sexual misconduct, inappropriate touching? Man, we could go on and on and on. Probably would wipe out half the Congress. The fact of the matter is that these people are hypocritical. But you know what's even worse? The silence of the Republican Party. The silence of the Republican Party is mind-boggling. They should take this situation by the throat, stand up like men and women, and do what's right. And what's right is to confirm this judge. It's remarkable, isn't it? Absolutely, positively, undeniable, remarkable. But what we are seeing unfold before our eyes is the complete and utter destruction of the Democrat Party. Because if these women are in fact proven to be not credible, proven even to go so far as saying that the story was fabricated, they not only have destroyed the Democrat Party, but they have destroyed every single legitimate report to the police by women in the future. That is a very bad consequence if they, in fact, were involved in some sort of political witch hunt and fabricated the story. Anybody who reports a sexual assault, that matter should be immediately investigated. The accuser should never be placed in doubt. But the accused should also be given the opportunity to defend themselves against credible testimony, credible evidence. We don't have that in this case. What we have is a lot of politics, folks, a lot of politics that's doing a lot of damage to the integrity of the Congress, the integrity of the court system, and ultimately the integrity of this country. Let's see what unfolds in the next few days. Thursday's a big day, big day. We're going to see Judge Kavanaugh, and we're going to see the accuser, Dr. Ford. Let's see what happens at the end of that day. And if, in fact, these women, if it comes out that they have evidence, that this is factual, I'll stand with them. But I don't believe them. I really don't. because of the timelines, because of the lack of evidence, because of the lack of witnesses. Could you imagine? Could you imagine if someone accused any one of you listening of a crime that you did not commit? And then you are told that you have to prove you didn't commit it, instead of your accuser being required to prove you did commit it. Doesn't work that way in this country. The Democrats are talking about, they always got a complaint about the president and how he conducts business. This is a disaster. This is a complete and total disaster. And I've shared with Democrats every single broadcast here on our YouTube Live. I've shared it all over the country. Your party has been hijacked by socialists. Your party has been hijacked by bad people that are not looking out for the interest of this country, but they're looking out for their own political survival and the advancement of their own political agenda. And let this be a lesson. Let this be a lesson to how far they are willing to go to destroy a man and his family. Let this be a warning to every single Republican out there who has failed to stand up and shout it. Shout it from a rooftop. And I'm talking about our senators and our congressmen. And shout this very loud. Just like some of you have been shouting about President Trump. Let this be a warning. You may be next. You may be next. And you may be looking for your colleagues who are cowering under a table somewhere. You may be looking for them to come out and defend you. Well, you know who's defending Judge Kavanaugh? The president and the people. Let's see what happens. And I hope to come on here next Monday night and say, I told you so. We are a country that believes that you are presumed innocent and not guilty until proven guilty. Like they say, what goes around comes around. Let this be a warning that it could happen to anyone. Now, breaking news today, our friend Rod Rosenstein. Wow, what's going on there? I guess we pretty much thought and predicted that maybe a few months ago he would be going out the door. Looks like he might be going out the door on Thursday. We don't know yet. I know he had a meeting with Chief of Staff Kelly today, and the president is going to meet him on Thursday. But could you imagine a guy in the FBI, the number 2 man in the Justice Department, suggested, he denies it, but suggested that he was going to wear a wire, try to trap the president in some sort of a conversation where he could invoke or have invoked the 25th Amendment. This is our top law enforcement guys. Didn't I say months and months ago that the Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, I don't know where he is these days, should have cleaned out every single top echelon executive officer of the FBI and other intelligence agencies. All of them, go, get out. Because most of them are leftovers from the Obama administration. There are a lot of talented and good people in the FBI and other intelligence organizations. Go find them, look for them. They're going to work for the country and not for themselves. But months ago, if you remember, I've said that we would come to the day when the dominoes are going to fall. McCabe, Comey, McCabe, now probably Rod Rosenstein. And who else? Rightfully so, the president can now dismiss him, and there could never be an allegation that the president dismissed him or fired him because of and say it was obstruction of justice. Why? Because Rod Rosenstein committed an act of insubordination, folks. And he could be fired for that. As well he should be. But I don't know what the president's going to do. That's up to the president. He knows what's best, but hopefully at least he deals with it very, very decisively. And knowing President Trump, he will deal with that very, very decisively. Now let's go on in the next few minutes. I got about 6 minutes left about some of the races around the country. Look, I know there's been a lot of controversy in New Jersey with regard to anti-Trump, anti-GOP former New Jersey Governor Christine Todd Whitman being highlighted at a fundraiser in Middlesex County, New Jersey. It just boggles my mind. Folks, I could show you. I wish I had the stacks of emails that I have from people all over New Jersey. I was told there's going to be protests down there, Republicans protesting a Republican event. Think about the optics on that. Why on earth would any Republican organization, credible, who supports the President of the United States and the values in which the party stands for, invite to speak at an event an admitted, devout hater of the President of the United States of America, and admittedly goes out and tells the world, happened last week, folks, check it out, and tells the world that she hopes, she meaning Christine Todd Whitman, former governor of the state of New Jersey, that she hopes the Democrats take over the entire Congress. How does a Republican organization invite this woman to a meeting, a fundraiser, to do what? So anybody that's going, I'm not going. I've told people don't even go there, because to me that is a act of supporting this person. Where do you think your money's going to go to? Of course, the host is saying, oh, it'll go to Republicans who are running for office. You got a speaker that's telling you to vote against them. And the candidates who are going to show up, there's something wrong. Do people have something that much over your head or around your neck that you're actually going to go to an event where one of the highlighted speakers has frankly supported your opponent? Talk about the lack of courage, the lack of guts, the lack of standing up for the principles that you believe in. Mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling. So, saying all of that, I have asked people not to take their anger and frustration out on the New Jersey GOP. The chairman, Doug Steinhardt of the Jersey GOP, has been working very hard. Guaranteed, folks. I know it. I see it myself. Guys going all over the state trying to rebrand and pull this party together. He can't control, as I can't control, what a single individual does. He can't control, as I can't control, what a county organization decides to do. But he has worked so very hard, as many of us had, to advance the president's agenda to make sure that the GOP candidates in this chance have a fighting, or in this state have a fighting chance to get elected and reelected. But what Christine Todd Whitman did was pretty much put an end to those efforts. I've been around, been all over the place, folks. And all I hear is Republicans telling me they are not going to the polls because of what she said. Why should I go to the polls, they say, and fight for the GOP when one of their leaders is telling me it's better to have Democrats take control of the Congress? And what's really troubling to me, it's not only here in New Jersey her words were heard. Her words were heard across this country, because there have been people who have been in touch with me, in touch with our organization. You heard earlier, we're now up to 6 states who said, what are you guys out of your mind there in New Jersey? Have you gone nuts? You got somebody in your state running around the entire country stating that the Democrats should take control of the United States Congress? What an embarrassment. But we're not going to give up. And we're not going to stop encouraging you to go out and vote. Folks, if you don't go vote for the GOP candidates that have worked so very hard to get elected, you're handing Christine Todd Whitman and her Democrat Party friends a victory. And you're hurting the president. She hurt the party. She's hurt the efforts to rebrand and pull this party together, at least here in New Jersey. Her words have done a little damage elsewhere, I understand, outside the state, because people are questioning why on earth somebody who was a former governor, Republican, make these statements. I don't know. I don't get it. It really is mind-boggling to me. I guess the theme of tonight's broadcast should be mind-boggling. Mind-boggling over Kavanaugh, mind-boggling over Rosenstein, and now mind-boggling over something that hits home here. October 5th, D-Day. October 5th tells me, at least, and I know thousands of people in New Jersey, a story. If the Middlesex County GOP does not revoke or rescind the invitation of Christine Todd Whitman to their fundraiser, they have clearly drawn a line in the sand between the people of this state, who are Republicans who have worked so very hard for the President of the United States, and the New Jersey GOP. That organization in Middlesex County has drawn a line and has created and constructed a wall that will not be able to come down before November 5th. I mean it. Now, I'll go back to what I've said all along. It's easy to look at polls. It's easy to have this white shirt and tie on and sit in an office and say, oh, this is what the polls say. Things are fine. Go where I've been. Go where the people of our organization and other Republicans have been. Go talk to the forgotten American in the state of New Jersey or elsewhere that President Donald Trump has not forgotten. Sit in their kitchens, unannounced. Meet them in the supermarkets. Ask them what they think about what is happening with regard to this situation in Middlesex County, New Jersey. I made it a point to do a little walking around in Middlesex County. I made it a point to meet a lot of Republicans in that county. They are not happy. And neither are Republicans, not only in New Jersey, but across this country. Let's see what happens. I think the smart thing to do for the good of the party, for the good of the country, that the Middlesex County chairwoman does what's right. Remember I talked to you about having the guts and courage to do what's right? And what's right in this case is to rescind Christine Todd Whitman's invitation. You got two other fine governors, good former governors who are going to be there. Let them take the floor. Let them be able to speak to their constituents without the shadow of an anti-Trump, anti-GOP former governor in that room with them. And candidates that go there, well, know this, that there are thousands of Trump supporters in this state. Thousands. And their votes are going to make a difference, whether you win or whether you lose. Think about that. There are consequences to many actions in life, especially in politics. Just think about that. My hope and desire is that people do not take this whole issue out on the New Jersey GOP. We got a fine chairman. He's worked very hard. County, I've heard from a lot of county chairmen and chairwomen, and they're not happy with this. A lot of them won't speak up. A lot of them feel it's fruitless. Some of them have spoken up. That's fine. But I think it'd be wise that the leadership speaks up before the people speak up in November. Regardless, I'll be supporting the New Jersey GOP candidates across the state and across the country. Well, that's about it, folks. So here we are, another YouTube Live. We switched from Facebook Live to YouTube Live. You'll notice that as we post these things across our social media platforms, we get more and more and more people who are viewing. Sometimes it goes up into the thousands, sometimes not that high, but this is all new, and we're putting it all together. And based on the news feed that I see here, it looks like we have quite an audience that is watching us and who will be watching us. Okay, tomorrow morning, Fox Business Network with Varney and Company at 9 a.m. By the way, we'll be in Salem County this week. We'll be in Camden County next month, and we're going to be traveling throughout the state. And by the way, President Donald Trump has endorsed congressional candidate Jay Weber from Congressional District 11 here in New Jersey. And we're going to go all in for Jay Weber. Jay has been consistent. He's been absolutely upfront, transparent. He deserves to be elected to the United States Congress. As we move forward, we're going to be talking about other congressional races around the country and how we're going to get the vote out. There's the key, getting the vote out. Thanks a lot, folks, for joining me tonight. See you next Monday night, 7:30 p.m. here at the America Winning Coalition. God bless you, God bless America, and God bless the President of the United States.